everyone, welcome. Thank you for watching the Best of 30 Days of Sketches by Christy's Beautiful Life. Today is day 17 and our sketch is by Laura Rumble for Lottie Loves Paper. And at first I saw this layout and I was like, oh, it's pretty plain and there's lots of stitching and I'm stressed out because we're moving across the country. But then I, took a breath and decided I can do this. So there was a bunch of butterflies on the original sketch. So as you saw, I have that old stamp set, and I apologize. All of my supplies are already packed and on a truck on their way across the country. So I don't have my reference sheet like I normally do to tell you which stamp set those were. But it was an old retired stamp set, obviously, but it had birds on it. So I grabbed it, and then I have this old cord that is also something that I bought probably 15 years ago, and I think anybody that crafts has DMC floss. So I grabbed basically some colors that went with the photos. The photos are of my then high school boyfriend and I graduating from high school in one of them, and then him with his mom. So I went and pulled the threads or the cords that all worked with the colors of the photos, and also this is a cut apart that came from the Hope and Kindness collection from Close to My Heart, and so it worked with those colors too. And I'm just kind of collecting the things that I know that I want. Dream Big is going to be my title. It's not as big as Laura has in hers, but we're at the tail end when I was creating this of packing up our stuff, and I thought that was perfect for a graduation photo. So here I am going to take some time and show you how I did these strings or cords along my paper without actually stitching them. So I used the green lidded Tombow glue, as you saw, and just put down a thin line, and then I'm just going to set this. And it's funny, the floss is more fussy than the cords are, but you just kind of play with it. I'm using my scoring tool, and I did take my scoring tool. I don't know if you can see the cords and the floss that's laying there to the left. When I first cut it off of the units they were on, there was bends in them and they weren't going to lay flat. So just like you curl ribbon with scissors, I did that to these threads and cord. So I dry fit how I wanted the cord to kind of go. It's not going to be an exact representation because obviously you can't put the glue down or the cord won't turn the corner like I did with the glue. But the same thing here, I'm just using my scoring tool and kind of holding it in places so that I can pull the cord to wrap around to the next location. So there I just put pressure on it. I'll come up here and put pressure on the corner, and then I can make that bend. And this glue it's tacky right away, so it just holds the thread right where you want it. So I'm not going to show you all of these, but I did want to show you again that I kind of dry fit, put the glue down, following your dry fitted, in this case, floss, but you don't want the glue to get in it early, and then you just lay it down. I did put some stamp blocks on a lot of the intersections to just make sure that they stayed down firm. And there I cut off both sides. And I'm looking at this striped paper because I'm thinking that maybe I need something at the top or the bottom to frame it in. But as I'm considering that and thinking about that, I'm going to go ahead and play around with the placement of the photos and the embellishments that I've gathered. So the medallion that's behind the word Dream Big, or the word, is from, again, the Hope and Kindness die cut collection. And so I have that, and then the leaves that are in the bottom are also from there. There are some other leaves. You can kind of see the outline of it in the upper left corner of the screen that I cut in sage cardstock, and those were from an old thin cut by Close to My Heart layered leaves. So I just had those, and I just thought with the airiness of the floss and the cord going across the page, and then here you can see I'm stamping those birds. The stamp set had 3 birds, but apparently one of my bird stamps has flown away. So I'm just kind of peppering those in, not as heavy as they did with the butterflies, but just giving it some interest. And again, with the graduation photos and that theme, it just kind of, I think, lends itself to birds in flight, and you know how we say if you love something, let it go, and if it comes back, it belongs to you. And I think graduation is a time that we have to let go of our loved ones. And I had the foam tape here that I was putting in and around the cording, just because the cording has a little depth to it, and I didn't want to make it any taller or any more dimension on this layout. And the very end of my roll is what I'm using here, so it only had glue on one part, so I'm just using the liquid glue on the other part. And as you can see, I had to fuss with it a little bit, but in the end we got there. So those are the leaves that I cut from the layered leaf thin cut that's retired. And then these leaves that are open are in, it's like a craft paper and a little heavier than craft paper. And I decided that I didn't like just the color of the craft and the sage. I wanted to bring in some depth. So since the photos, there's a dark, black graduation gown, and it's taken in the evening, so it kind of has some of those evening tones. I grabbed my, I think it's charcoal shimmer brush. It might be espresso, and I'm just giving those some shimmer trim. Oh, it's sapphire. That's what it is. It was the dark blue. And then I will glue these two layered leaves in under the bottom. I'm kind of just continuing the flow as the stitching has set, a flow from left to right. I'm kind of getting the embellishments in there so that they are also from left to right, but also from kind of the top, drawing you through the photo and then to the lower right. And you can see here I tucked those leaves in that I colored with the shimmer brush, and they just kind of are a nice anchor. They kind of just give your eye a place to rest. It's like your eye needs sometimes that darkness to just let it have a pause. And this layout is done. I had decided as we got to this point that I wasn't going to do a top frame or a bottom frame or even a frame all the way around. So here's a close-up of things. Be sure to check out the playlist that's in the description box that has everybody's best of 30 days of sketches for all of the months so far. If you're a subscriber to my channel, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Here's another video you may be interested in, and I hope you have a truly blessed day.